What's up YouTube, my name is Tan, and today I'm going to be doing a rewatch of Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 E3 trailer. So this is one of my most favorite trailers of all time. I'm going to be doing my rewatch reaction because every time you watch something or every time you see something, there's always a reaction. Even if you saw it 1,000 times, there's always a reaction. I'm just going to give my thoughts on it because it's something that I really do want to give my thoughts on it. It's something that's really important to me. One of the best Star Wars cinematic trailers of the old expanded universe. So without any further ado, let me watch it, and I'm just going to give all my thoughts, since this is something that I'm really truly passionate about. I love the expanded universe, and I really want it to become canon again, and everything about the expanded universe is just perfect and awesome, except a few things. In the era when Emperor Palpatine was reborn, the novel series with the Clone Palpatine, or the comic series with the Clone Palpatine, I really didn't dig that, but about 90% of the expanded universe I really absolutely adore and just love. The fact that there were like 100 survivors of Order 66, I think that really opens up Star Wars and the whole universe of Star Wars between episode 3 and 4. It makes it bigger and makes it much larger, and it just amplifies the whole universe. We're gonna watch it right now. May contain content inappropriate for children. When I played The Force Unleashed, I don't think it was inappropriate at all. The John Williams soundtrack, episode 2, and then
You have served your purpose well, my apprentice.
but I have no use for you.
But I have no further use for you.
Kill him.
Kill him.
Damn, I love The Force Unleashed so much. The 501st Stormtroopers are about to attack Starkiller, the clone of Galen Marek. They turn the lights off because, you know, the Stormtroopers, they're not the most keen. But in the Force universe, the Jedi, the Sith, Grey Jedi, Dark Jedi, any type of Force user has very precise eye vision. That was very easy for him. He didn't even have to try to eliminate all the Stormtroopers. Those dual lightsabers, he just wields with uttermost perfection and ease. I like the Force Unleashed, so super dark. That's a very dark series that I absolutely adored.
Betrayed by Vader for the last time.
Duel of the Fates. I love that soundtrack so much. From the Phantom Menace.
Something worth fighting for. Someone worth dying.
I love how he just eliminated the machine in just like 8 seconds, literally.
I will not rest. Vader can't stop me now.
And there's like 80 Stormtroopers going at him all at once. He duels very fast. Force Repulse. That's Force Repulse and Force Oblivion. He does Force Repulse and he also does Force Oblivion, and they're super powerful. They can eliminate like 80 regular troops in just one time. He's using the Force to protect himself from the lightning. And then he's using his own Force lightning to demolish and absolutely destroy the opponent. No matter if it's machine, man, human. He's very tactical too. He's just a pure prodigy in terms of force wielding, force powers. And battle meditation too. He also performs battle meditation like he did, I think, in the first game. After he defeated Shakti, he performed meditation, and I'm sure he's capable of battle meditation too.
Nothing can.
And then he opens his eyes. And that's another clone of Starkiller. dual lightsabers. And this was when The Force Unleashed 2 was first announced. I'm not really into the Star Wars Episode 9 trailer from Disney, but I really love The Force Unleashed. It's dark, the story is compelling, the story really makes me want to play the game over and over again. I played The Force Unleashed 1 like a dozen times. I played the whole game a dozen times, and I absolutely adore it. I really miss the dark story and dark timeline of The Force Unleashed and the Old Republic. We really need this as Star Wars fans. If you ever watched Game of Thrones is also a very, very dark film or movie series. And even though they're completely two different franchises, you can also incorporate some elements of the Game of Thrones with its dark cinematography, conveying dark emotions, and just make it Star Wars, because Star Wars is an established franchise that has been here for 41 years. And if all people were introduced into the Force Unleashed series, and if the Force Unleashed series was a live action film, all people, no matter if you're a casual fan of Star Wars or a diehard fan like me, everyone will thoroughly enjoy it, and it will be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. The Force Unleashed 2 was in 2011, and those were the graphics back in 2011. Imagine if you were to do live action 2019. It will break records, I guarantee you. Rogue One was great, but there was no Jedi, and when there's no Jedi or Sith, it did have Vader for like the last 2 minutes, but when you're talking about like the Jedi and Sith as the main characters, that's a main, huge, essential part of Star Wars. And Star Wars is about the Force and the balance of the Force, and how the Chosen One had the prophecy to fulfill, and he was to destroy the Sith and bring balance to the Force. A wonderful story written by George Lucas that I really, really admire and respect. I really loved the time period between Episode 3 and 4, because if you don't know, Episode 3 for me was the best Star Wars movie ever. I mean, it had its flaws and it's not perfect, like the quotes were not the best, but it was the movie that ultimately made me the biggest Star Wars fan in the world. And Episode 4 is a classic. You can never really criticize Episode 4, since Episode 4 started the whole franchise. It started the Clone Wars. It started Dark Horse comic books for the expanded universe. It started the old novels, New Jedi Order, the time period between the Yuzong Vong War, the Old Republic, the Ruusan Reformation, which was 1,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, which it was also at the same time period of Darth Bane's establishment of Rule of Two, which is something that I really want to get into also. The Darth Plagueis books, the Legacy comics that took place 138 years after the Battle of Yavin, with Darth Krayt and Cade Skywalker as the main Jedi and Sith villains and heroes of that era. And I mean, The Force Unleashed is a prominent part of Star Wars, and is a very large part of Star Wars. And without The Force Unleashed, I don't know what Star Wars would be like. I mean, Star Wars would still be absolutely fantastic, but it will be different. And The Force Unleashed gave me so much insight into that additional lore of Star Wars. We learn about the Jedi trials with Darth Phobos. We learn about the foundation of the Rebel Alliance, and how the Rebel Alliance was really started with one hope, and that was Galen Marek. There's so much backstory to The Force Unleashed that it will take me a very long time to explain all of it, but even though there are some contradictions, like Shaak Ti is still alive in The Force Unleashed 1, and in the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith, she was actually assassinated by Anakin Skywalker. There are some contradictions, but since Shaak Ti's death was in the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith, I don't think it's canon. I don't think it should be part of the real authenticated timeline. I really loved Shaak Ti in The Force Unleashed. She was a much wiser character that we really did needed. You had Ram Koda, which was like the Jedi Master, who was not a traditional Jedi Master. He didn't even believe in the clones during the Clone Wars, according to The Force Unleashed 1. He was not the traditional Jedi. I really liked how they incorporated a traditional Jedi Council member, powerful like Shaak Ti and wise. Almost as wise as Yoda, but also almost as powerful as Obi-Wan Kenobi, or just as powerful. Her apprentice, Maris Brood, was one of the most badass characters, and had a mix of light and dark in her, and I think that is something that should be shown much more. And characters who appear to be dark, characters who appear to be falling down a dark path, and they are, but really have a lot of light and just tons of fear inside them that's causing them to become dark force users. And also the soundtracks from The Force Unleashed are phenomenal. There are some new soundtracks that are in The Force Unleashed series, and he absolutely slayed it in composing the music. It felt true and genuine to Star Wars, something that's similar to John Williams in terms of genre, and it really did feel like Star Wars. Every bit of it. It felt like a new chapter of Star Wars that was not yet revealed. I remember when I first played in 2008, it was the most exciting game that I ever played in my whole life. That's why I literally played the whole game 12 to 13 times. They had Flucia. If you watched Revenge of the Sith, Flucia was the planet that they only featured for like 30 seconds. With Ayla Secura and Commander Bly and the Order 6016, it was only there for like 30 seconds. But in the Force Unleashed, you get to play the whole level of Flucia. A whole level that will probably last you about at least an hour of gameplay. I was really happy that they incorporated Flucia. Nar Shaddaa, which was never in any of the prequel and original trilogy movies. I'm a big fan of The Force Unleashed, and I really want there to be a Star Wars The Force Unleashed 3. That is my biggest dream, and I'm going to keep making my Star Wars fan films, because Star Wars is a passion that will never die for me. It's always deep in my soul. And I really hope you genuinely enjoyed my additional insight into the Force Unleashed series. I had to do this rewatch video since there's so much for me to talk about, and whenever I'm talking about Star Wars, I just feel so fulfilled. I feel I'm bringing one passion of mine directly to you, and that is one of the greatest things that I can ever do. I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart. Bringing one passion of mine directly to you and making you interested enough for you to actually consider watching the movies or playing the games or watching the comics or watching the novels or any of the expanded universe content / media. It's just so fulfilling, and it makes me happy, and it means the whole world to me. So if you really enjoyed my rewatch, please give a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Last but not least, like always, may the Force be with you. Always.